Yo, what's going on, everybody? My name's John Sean. Welcome back to the Horticulture Trap House. Here we are, episode 5. Been missing past couple weeks, huh? My bad. I didn't mean to leave y'all out like that. But, had a few things going on. But we've been busy. We've been working. So, today we at action, obviously. It's a beautiful day out. Sun is shining. Plants is getting some good sunlight. So, we got germination. We gonna talk about a few of the different things because I know we went through a couple different germination process. We uh, put them in a wet paper towel, kept those in the dark. We soaked some seeds overnight before we planted them, and some seeds we direct sowed. So there was a lot of different results from that, and we're gonna go over some of those today, and we're gonna do a little bit of uppotting or transplanting, whatever people call it. I always call it transplanting because I'm moving the plant from one container to another, or if it goes into the bed itself, I always call it transplanting. Some people call it uppotting. Whatever, it's up to you. But I'm going to show you what the actual thing is. So to go over the germination, what we saw that happen. So these seeds here, they're actually both a first round and second round that I did using a different technique. And these are from the first round of the planting that we did. So these over here that are in the black cups, these are our Farmer Sean's. And these are way too many plants than what I'm going to actually be planting here. Like I said, we keeping this legal. So all of these, they do have homes where they'll be going to throughout the state. So Farmer Sean's, those were direct seeded. I didn't soak them. I didn't put them through any treatment. I just dropped them straight into the soil. Then I have some berry haze over here in the solo cups. I ran out of tall pots. Those were ones that were soaked in a napkin and then they germinated. I know I showed y'all a quick video on how the root radical looks when that's popping out. And these here are it's a cross of Farmer Sean and Dominion Diesel. Came from Plymouth County Genetics. Shout out to you. And these were the ones that I soaked the seeds overnight and then I planted them. Now, try to get a closer look here for y'all. So the ones that were directly in the center of the pots, those were the ones that I soaked overnight before I planted them. The ones you see on the edges of the pots, those are the ones that I direct seeded. They all came up at the same time. So might be the conditions that I got them in, might be the conditions that I soaked the seeds in. These seeds, I ain't gonna hold you, they were mistreated. The plant got left out too long. Plant died on me while it was in the ground. I just chopped it. It was left on the table for literally a year. I just kind of cleaned that plant up, took those seeds out of it. So I didn't even think they were going to germinate. That's why there's so many in here because, just want to hedge my bet. So I threw a couple extras in there. So now once they do germinate, I like to keep them under the light in the house. So keep them under the light until germination. As far as my personal light schedule, I keep it 24 hours of light. As soon as they germinate, I break that down to 18 on, 6 off. That's my 24-hour cycle. So that way it mimics, you know, their natural light cycle going through their vegetative state. And we're only dealing with photoperiod plants. We're not dealing with autoflowers or anything like that. And we're not growing indoors. So if you guys want that information, there's plenty of other people with more experience and that do that kind of stuff. I personally just don't like autoflower. What the hell is that? I personally just don't like autoflowers because they they just do their own thing. Like I want the plant to do its own thing, but as far as timing wise, I want it to match, what I'm saying, the timing of nature. So from what I saw germination wise and a little quick makeshift experiment is again, it could just be the genetics of it. I am breeding the Farmer Sean's so that they're acclimated to New England weather. so that way they can pop very fast from direct seeding and grow fast, high yield, can deal with the ranging fluctuation of weather that we get within the growing season and still produce a good strong crop. So these are doing exactly what I've been wanting them to do from the inception and the idea of creating my own strain. And it's all open pollinated. I'm not doing any controlled cross pollination or breeding or anything like that. So every few years, I'll just leave the males, let them do their thing, and then I just grow those seeds out. And then I just keep picking the best results that I personally like and grow those genetics on year after year. So that's what's going on with that now. Some of these plants, they actually stretched a little bit because, like I said, we're keeping them under the 18:6 light cycle once they do pop. But what ended up happening was I had a large humidity dome over it, so my light was a lot higher. I like to keep my light anywhere from like 3 to 6 inches above the plants just to keep a nice short tight canopy. I am just using regular combination of CFLs and LEDs, and they're up there in age. They're about like 3 to 4 years now, so I know their efficiency has decreased a little bit, but I strictly grow outdoors, so I just want to get my plants started, and I am okay with them not getting the most optimal conditions, just because when we're growing outdoors, sometimes you don't have those optimal conditions. That's why we're selecting genetics that grow optimally underneath optimal, I said optimal conditions. So what ended up happening with these, I say that to say this, what ended up happening with these is because the light was a little higher than what I normally had it, and the light is a little weaker than it originally was, the plant stretched a little bit. Not the worst thing in the world. So what I was able to do is I was able to plant it deeply in the pot. So there's maybe about like this much stem in the actual pot itself. What will happen is all of those small hairs and trichomes that you see on the stem of it itself, those roots will differentiate their hormones, and the ones that are deeper, they'll actually produce roots that will not only that will help feed the plant, but the ones that are closer to the surface, they will produce roots, but they're mainly going to be anchor roots that'll help keep the plant in place. Now, like I said, temperatures are warming up, we outside, so what we've been doing is hardening our plants off. So indoors, they're under artificial light. And I don't care what kind of light system you have, what company, what brand, whatever. It doesn't matter. Nothing compares to the power of the sun. So when you're starting your plants off indoors, no matter what kind of light you have, how powerful it is, like I said, is not going to compare to the sun. So you don't want to bring your plants directly outside and leave them out there and just plant them, and that's that. It'll be extreme shock, and you're going to burn your plants, and there's a good chance most of them might not survive and recover that. So I should have refreshed my memory, but I forget the exact uh, term for it. But what the leaves actually do, and this is for all plants, is they have like a slight waxy coating that they grow over the top of the leaf. It's like their own little sunscreen, so it helps protect them from the extreme UV rays. Plants do that normally and naturally. When you're growing them indoors, since they're not under that condition of the actual sun, they don't. So these plants are going to take some time to develop that. So with hardening off, bring them outside on a good temperature, good sunlight day, preferably in a shady area still, so they're not in direct sunlight. We put them in a shady area. You're going to leave them there for a few hours, bring them back inside, and you're going to do that every day for about like a week or two, and you're going to gradually increase the time that you leave them out there. And then over about, week, 2 weeks time, they're ready to go outside and live outside. Now, I like to start doing that when the daytime temperatures are consistently 55 and above. Some people like to do it when it's warmer than that. Like I said, I'm training my plants for certain traits because I want to be able to at some point 2 weeks before or a week before the frost date. I want to be able to direct seed. So after the frost date, once soil temperatures, I mean not soil temp, yeah, soil and air temperatures become consistent, plants germinate and they do their own thing in place. They don't have to go through any transplant or transplant shock. There's different ways that you can reduce that. I'm not doing that in these videos because, like I said, these plants are in boot camp and they're going to remember their treatment and they're going to adjust accordingly in future generations. So whenever you do breed them, that information gets passed on to those seeds and that next genetics. And that's how, not just with cannabis, but any plants, you get them acclimated to a different growing zone. So as long as the conditions like temperature and precipitation conditions are met for the plant, you can get it acclimated in there. So sometimes you do have to do a little more human intervention just because no matter where you're at, temperatures might be right, but the soil is wrong. So you got to kind of work the soil a little bit, or you could get the soil right, temperatures are right, but you don't have enough natural precipitation. So you just got to water a little bit more. So it could be a bunch of different things. And some of those things you're going to have to do anyways, depending on what the environment is doing and the climate is doing during that season. Some seasons, I don't ever water it just because it rains enough. Other seasons, I have to water a little bit more frequently. So it is what it is. But those are the, benefits of growing outdoors. So now with up potting, let me show you how we're going to do this. And I'm going to show you guys where I put some of these plants at to harden them off, just as far as like the location and stuff like that. Just different things that I think about of how to do it. And just so that way, you know, give your plants the best chance of survival. Because I put them out in the morning, I go to work, I come back in the evening. So that's why I wait a little bit longer in the season to harden my plants off, just because I can't really do the whole hour, 2 hours today, 2 hours tomorrow, 3 hours the next day. I can't really do that. So I wait till we're at, good enough temperatures where they won't get burned, but they won't get cold. It's just right. So that way I can leave them out there from day one, you know, 8 to 9 hours out of the day. So that's what happens with me. Now, let me try to find one with, all right, there isn't one with just one plant. So here's what we're going to do. We'll take this one here because this one, for whatever reason, ah, these little babies here, I don't leave these outside to harden off. They're way too small. Let me double back a little bit. When it comes to hardening them off, I also like to wait till they're at least 3 nodes high. And then when they get to like 4 nodes and so, there's some other things I will do, but I'll show y'all that on the next episode. But let me show you here. So, little biology of the plant. Obviously, everybody knows stems and leaves. These leaves here, the ones that break them open, we commonly call them seed leaves. They're scientifically they're called cotyledons, but they're called seed leaves because they do exactly just that. That's what the plant uses to break the seed open. Now, once that happens, then you'll get what you'll see here are the traditional leaves, and in this particular plant, the weed leaves. Now, each set of leaf, there's the internode, that's where the stem is, and the node is the, oh, this is coming out because I'm not refilming. But there's a node. So we got one node here, then with these second set of leaves, that's the second node, and then a third, and we're starting the fourth. So let me strip these back to show you a little better. So that's one node there, that's your second node there, that's your third node there, and if you look, if y'all can see that, I'm gonna review this after, so if y'all can't see it, I'll do some more close-ups. And that's the fourth node starting on the top. So now, just a little information for y'all, or terminology for y'all. That's how the nodes go. Now, once I get my true leaves, I like to wait till the second node before I transplant my seedlings. Also because they're a little bit stronger. I don't water them before. I let the soil slightly dry out only because it keeps the soil together more. There's not going to be enough roots for it to hold all of the soil. And truth be told, I kind of wouldn't normally transplant them at this size. I would let their root system build a little bit more. But um yeah, I got some things to do and I'm not going to have a lot of time. And like I said, I want these plants to be tough. And I'm okay if I put them through a little bit of extra stress and get more males and females. Uh, tends to be the more stressed the plant is, as far as like conditions of having to go from poor health condition back to good health condition, if it keeps fighting for its life the whole time. From my personal experience, especially with the Farmer Sean strain and genetics, I should say, they tend to come out more male than female. But in the past few years, we've been lucky and we've actually had like a 70% rate of females to males. So we've actually been decreasing the number of males that pop. So I don't, again, I haven't taken detailed notes, but we're taking more notes this season so we can figure it out more. As far as germination rate goes, though, we are at 95% germination rate. So out of 30 seeds that I planted, 24 of them popped. So our percentage might be off, but still, we're still up there in the 90s. Now, let's put one of these out here. I don't like these cells, they're a little too big, but we working with them. So yeah, so you just push it from underneath like that. I'll hold everything else down just in case. Turn it over. You got some decent root development there. I don't know if you can see that. And then what we're gonna do, if you're not experiencing this, you might not know like how much soil to add in for the depth. So what we're gonna actually do is we are gonna cover some of the stem with the soil. I'm not in this one in particular because I kind of don't want to separate these. They're a little too small for me, and this one will get a little too buried if I put too much soil in here. So if we fill it all the way up as we see here, if I just drop it in the bottom of the cup and fill around it with soil, we're gonna lose this plant, and I kind of don't want to at this moment. So we're gonna bury. We'll see. Let's work with it. I just put a handful of soil. Let's drop this in here, see where we're at height-wise. If I press it in a little bit, I'm good with that. So what I'll do is the soil that's off to the sides, I'll kind of break that up a little bit, kind of give the roots some a little familiar that they're comfortable with to search around. And then we're just gonna gently fill some soil in around it. I like to shake it to settle it. Not too much, because you still do want airflow for those roots. So you don't want it too compacted. And just like that, we're done. I had another tray somewhere over here to hold these into. So we're gonna hold them in like that. I do have another bottom watering tray because again, we're still bottom watering. We're not watering overhead watering at all. Soil will take up as much water as it needs. When I bottom water, I normally fill a container till the water comes up to about here. Leave it for about maybe 10 to 15 minutes max. Let it soak it up because once the soil does soak up all the water that it needs, you don't want it just sitting in the water. You don't want wet roots or wet feet, as it's traditionally called. So yeah, and then empty the excess water out and you're good to go. So that way you don't have to worry about splashing. And again, where we're talking about seeds, you don't have to worry about splashing and displacing your seeds. Or when you're watering like this, you don't have to worry about if for whatever reason you weren't using like a controlled bag soil or anything like that, or even if you were, let's just say you overwatered and you started creating some like fungus and mold or anything like that. You overhead water, good chance of the soil and all of that splashing up onto the plant, and then could transmit some soil-borne pathogens. And I also don't like overhead watering when they're young like this. Once they get outside and they're doing their thing, I care less. They're living outside. If it rains, that's overhead watering. But when we're keeping them in our control environment, I don't like to do that, just because at the same time, I don't like water sitting on my leaves. So when I'm growing them indoors, I don't like water on the leaves. It acts like a magnifying glass under light, burns the plants, and yeah, whole lot more chances of things going wrong. And we do a lot of things over here at the Plant on Sean channel. So I pay good attention. I'm pretty attentive to all my plants, but we don't, there's a lot of things going on in life. We don't want to micromanage every single little thing. So we want to kind of be able to, things that are natural, let them run their natural course. So once it is outside again, it's going to get rained on overhead anyways, but they're outdoors. We give them plenty of space. As you see, our growing space doesn't have anything obstructing it at all. I do got a maple tree back there, but it doesn't cause any major issues. So when it rains and the plants get wet, they tend to dry off pretty quickly as well too. So I'll tell you what pot there. Next video, I'm gonna give these a little bit more time. Next video, we'll transplant these. I'll show you guys some more transplanting as well, and we'll actually be able to separate some of these because they will be a little bit bigger, and I'll feel more comfortable separating them. You can separate them like this and repot them and things of that nature, but I had a lot of things to do today, and I'm not gonna have time to repot all of them today individually. So catch you guys on the next video, and I'm going to show you that and how you can gently separate your plants and repot them, and what you'll have to do afterwards when you do that. Since I didn't really disturb the root system in this one here at all, that's it, is done. It's going to get its bottom watering, and it's going to go back in its indoor grow site. Now, yeah, and that's it. If I were to disturb the root system, lost my train of thought for a second. If I were to disturb the root system by separating them, which I will, and I'll show you on the next video, not only once they do go in there, they'll get their normal bottom watering, but I'll throw a humidity dome over them as well, just to kind of keep the humidity up in there, get a get a better environment, more safer incubated environment for them while they go through the process of reestablishing and resituating their root system and everything like that. Now I know y'all saw me constantly brushing the plants and stuff. That's also because I want the stems to get stronger. Just like with the tree, the more it's in the wind, the stronger the trunk of it is, and also the larger the trunk. So I want these to go through that. So brushing them kind of helps stimulate that in the event that there isn't any wind. That's also the reason, as far as wind goes, these little ones don't come outside. We have good enough temperature, good enough lighting. I had a good spot that I could do that with them, but these little babies, for me personally, you guys do whatever you feel comfortable doing. I'm just showing y'all what I do. These are a little too young to be out here in strong winds. We just out here because it's a beautiful day, and I want to do this outside today with y'all. So that's how all of that is going to go. I'm going to show y'all where we harden the plants off at. As far as the raised bed goes, because once these are hardened off, they're going to go directly in the raised bed. Remember last week we was talking about, we flipped and mixed in all of our compost, all of our wood ashes, found the remains of all of our animal bones that were in there. So all of that is in the bed. We also mixed in some of our rabbit manure and things of that nature. So our bed is set. Our bed is fertilized. Our bed is ready. And then we covered it with the mulch. After we covered it with the mulch, I should have did this before I threw the mulch on there, but we dropped all the lentils, and I believe it was vetch and ryegrass. We dropped all of those seeds for the cover crop. I didn't need it to hold the soil in or anything like that. I did it because, again, I want these plants to grow as big, as fast as possible. So I put the cover crop in there to add just a little bit more nitrogen. Might be a little overdoing it, but hey, we'll see what happens. So the lentils are part of the legume family. So they were what's called nitrogen fixers. What they do is they'll take nitrogen from the air, and as they pull it into the plant, they release it through their roots into the soil itself. So they'll pump nitrogen directly into the soil. Nitrogen being one of the key elements that the plant uses during its vegetative growth. Now, not only just there is a sense of too much. That's when you get, you know, nutrient burn and nitrogen burn. That's how you burn your plants majority of the time with fertilizers. There is a such thing as too much, but the more whatever the plant can handle, I don't know the numbers off the top of my head as far as levels of nitrogen. The more of that you can not just give, but have it readily available. So, because nitrogen could be in the soil, but it could be nutrient locked and be tied up in the soil. Hence the reason why we used old wood chips, not new wood chips. They were fresh cut trees turned into wood chips. They will actually tie up the nitrogen as they're breaking down and decomposing until they fully decompose. Then they'll release the nitrogen. So that's why we use wood chips that were seasoned or a year plus older. Those ain't there anymore because as I dropped the cover crop seed, they popped, they grew, they pulled the nitrogen in, and then to also make some green manure, what I did was I just flipped it over. And essentially just like that. Imagine cooking the sunny side up egg, take the spat, or imagine cooking a pancake and you flip it over. I did exactly that. So now all of the green and the shoots and everything are in the soil, breaking down over the next 2 weeks. They'll be good. Drop the plants in, and they should take off no problems. So hopefully that works. If it doesn't, it'll work. Now, that's that. So I'm going to take care of a couple more of these plants over here. I'm going to show you guys real quick where we harden the plants off at. And I'm gonna see y'all next week. So make sure you out there taking care of your plants and your plants to take care of you. Plant Don Sean. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. And I'm gonna show y'all that and then we out. Boom. Oh, let's see here. Alright. Where they at? Okay. So we got them right over here. Under the table so they're not in a direct light. Again, got a bunch of people that don't have time or place to grow their stuff, so I help them out, pass them out. Now, the way that I got them like this, these plants here are younger than these plants. This is their first day outside. So I do have them set to where the sun is traveling from over here to over here. So they'll get the early part of the day. And then these here plus the table will provide some shade as well as the maple trees and everything like that. So that way they will be slightly shaded throughout the day to be protected from some wind and things like that. And they don't have anything else to worry about. So there you have it. We had our Dominion Diesel. These here are Berry Haze. Looks like the Berry Haze is a heavy feeder too, just because it's the only one that came out a lighter green than everything. And I know that's nutrient deficiencies. And the Berry Haze is not my genetics, but depending on how they come out, we may breed them in. And then we got the Farmer Sean's here. Then these couple here, it's a cross between the Farmer Sean and the Freak Show. That's a different leaf structure. I'm digging this, man. This is super fun. All right, y'all. I'm out. I got things to go do. Take care of your plants, and your plants will take care of you. Bye, my